all right, I need somebody to like tell me if I'm wrong for this, stitch the video, comment, whatever. I'm gonna make it a long story short, bro. I'm not an asshole for telling this girl that I don't give a fuck if her and her kids are outside cold. I live in Detroit, Michigan. You know what I mean? And it's in November, so it's fairly fucking cold outside. Like, I chased this girl from when I was 14 up until I was about like 21. She never like really gave me the time of day. She always thought I was a joke because of the type of dude that I am. You know, like I don't smoke, I don't drink, you know, I don't go out like that. I go to work, I go home. I play video games, I like anime, that type of shit. So she never really gave me a chance like that. But
well, good day, everybody. I'm Dr. Sims, host of the Dr. Sims Show and America's #1 personal development expert. That introductory scene, that young man is frustrated. After 7 years, he has been chasing this young lady, and she finally calls him at 2 in the morning asking for a place to stay for her and her babies. But I'll get to that segment later on this show. But right now, I have a very good friend of mine that we met several years ago on a little app called Periscope that was kind of hosted by Twitter, if you will. It died a couple of years ago, and we've just gotten reconnected on TikTok. As the football guys say on the Heisman commercial, the old guys say tickety talk. So I wanted to bring her on tonight to talk about the platform that we are on, and it is called IndieSoup Media. And let me give you a little bit of her backstory, just a little bit, and I don't want to steal her thunder, but Dr. Chetachi Egwu, Ph.D., we call her Dr. Tachi, has been running rampant in the live streaming streets for over 11 years, looking to share media, tech, and pop culture information through new media platforms. Dr. Tachi has given a voice and a platform to numerous guests and countless audience members with her live streams, taking audience participation and engagement to new heights with her unique approach to entertainment and education. Her experience in the field led to a desire to create a platform where creators like myself with great content could be more visible. IndieSoup provides such a platform. Why the name IndieSoup? Indie, of course, encompasses independent content creators. Soup is quite literally the perfect food. It is an amalgamation of different types of content that come together to make one great thing. So without any further ado, all the way from the South Beaches of Miami, Florida, I introduce you my friend, Dr. Chetachi Egwu. Well, what's going on, Dr. Tachi? How you doing, my friend?
Dr. Sims, I'm better now that I see you.
Oh, that is so amazing. You know, you and I, we've even met in person. We were at it was a function in Las Vegas, Nevada, I believe. We met at a conference a few years ago.
We met twice.
We sure did.
At Las Vegas, and then you actually came here to Fort Lauderdale.
That's exactly right. Well, how have you been?
Fantastic. I mean, I couldn't be better. How about you?
Listen, girl, as we say down here in the South, I'm about as happy as a pig in slop.
Okay. That's pretty happy.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I tell you what, before we really get into the meat of our discussion, give a little bit of your history.
Sure, absolutely. So, as he said, my name is Chetachi Egwu, but people call me Dr. Tachi. I am a media professor, a filmmaker, a media content producer, and I'm also a journalist, in addition to some other artistic things that I do. And yeah, that's me. I call myself all things media, tech, and pop culture. So anything dealing with that, I'm all about.
That is good. So let me ask you this. Why all of a sudden has the content creation has taken such a big jump over the last few months, the last years? Why the interest all of a sudden in content creation?
I think to answer that, we need to go back to 2020, and we all know what happened in 2020, the pandemic. It's actually before that. Before that, there was always an interest in, like yourself and myself, that would be interested in live streaming or going live, interested in podcasting. But it was more of a niche group, if you ask me. Even though it seemed like everybody was doing it,
Right.
it really wasn't until 2020 when people really started to jump into space. Why? Because there was nothing else to do. You couldn't go to work, you couldn't go out. So the next logical thing was to either create content or consume content. And many people finally had the time to sit down and say, you know what? There's this show I've been wanting to do, and now I have the time to do it. So many were sparked because of the pandemic.
Oh, that is amazing. So let me ask you this. I kind of read kind of a small bio. Where did the idea of IndieSoup Media come from?
That is a wonderful question. I think that really it's the next logical progression in content creation. I have been, so you gave a little bit of my background. So I've actually been creating live streams and doing live streams for people since about 2012.
Okay.
So now it's been, what's this, 11 years? Yeah.
That's a long time.
So,
that's a long time.
Exactly. I've had my own live stream show, as you know, MediaScope for 8 years. We just celebrated 8 years in July.
Okay.
And so when you're looking at things, you're looking at it, okay, this is 8 years. This is great. I've built a community and it's wonderful. But the thing is, like, now, what is the next logical step? Is there a next logical step? Is this what I'm content doing?
Right.
Or is there something else? And I really felt like, and as much as I love MediaScope, I additionally wanted to do something else. So I thought it was time for content creators like us to come together to share with what we have to do with the world. Because if you think about it, it is easier to share and quote, sell things in a package deal, right? A whole slate content, right?
That's good. That is good. So tell us this, how many creators do you have now? What's your vision of how many creators you want to have? Kind of come up 100 feet, give us your vision for IndieSoup Media, how many creators you have, and what's the extent of creators that you can get or invite to be on the network?
We want to, so that we envision ourselves being, this is what we are. We're an incubator for independent talent to hone their skills.
Wow.
We're also a training ground for the next generation of not just content creators, but content platform owners. So just like what I'm doing now, we're trying to be that training ground for the next generation. So we're really passionate about having college students on board. We've got an internship program I'm very passionate about involving HBCUs. So that's who we are, in addition to being the premier place to view independent content. That is what our vision is. And that's also what our mission, in a sense, is. And so you also asked, I'm sorry, got so into it.
The next thing how many creators do you have now? Kind of put them in categories. How many creators you have now? What's the flavor? Because I know my show is sort of motivation, personal development. It's kind of I kind of can go a lot of different ways with my show, but my show is mainly motivation. But kind of talk about the creators you have now and what can the viewers expect to see on the network.
So we have 4 areas of content, major areas, but underneath those, many things can fall. So we have lifestyle, of course. And underneath that could be like health, that could be beauty, that could be a lot of different things. That could also be sports, right? So there's that. In addition to lifestyle, there's business/tech. There is business/tech/education. So business, tech, and education. There's also arts and entertainment, right? And then there are global discussions, global issues and conversations. So that includes international content as well. So as you can see, because these areas are so broad, that leaves room for many different types of content to come on board. So we basically, can have any type of content, within reason. Because some people come and say, you said anything.
Hey, you said anything. IndieSoup Media After Dark.
Yeah, no. No.
Well, listen, guys, y'all hold tight, and we're going to run to a quick commercial, and we'll be right back. And we're going to further talk about the vision that Dr. Tachi has for this new independent network that she has birthed. I'm so excited to talk about. I'm so glad you're here, Dr. Tachi.
I'm glad to be here.
All right, we'll be right back.
If you would like to support the Dr. Sim Show, send your donations to Cash App $Walter H. Sims. And remember, we stay high on life. If you would like to support.
All right, Dr. Tachi, we're back. We're back, everybody. Yes. We're visiting with my dear friend, Dr. Tachi. Well, Dr. Tachi, before we continue to talk about your vision for IndieSoup Media, if somebody is thinking about doing something in the content creation genre, what do you think they should focus on? Is there a hot spot right now, or is it just whatever is your inspiration, go for it?
I think it really depends on where you're trying to go, who you're trying to appeal to. If you are looking, so let's be clear and let's be real. Right now, there's two strikes going on simultaneously in Hollywood. They're not treating their own people right, let alone looking for you. And I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to be funny, but they are not checking for you. They were not checking for you before. They're not checking for you now. So if you're thinking somehow that this is going to provide an opportunity for you, you would be wrong. But it can provide opportunities, which is what I'm looking at it as, in the independent space. The future is indie. And so I think that if you're looking at the future being indie, the sky is really the limit. I would say that before you start doing, or anybody starts doing content, to see what's out there. One thing I did before I even got on Periscope, and that's where we know each other from, that it debuted in April of 2015. So I didn't get on until July of 2015, and that was Mediascope.
Yeah, that's right.
So exactly I waited to listen and watch and learn from what was already out there. And then I sat back and said, now, where can I add value and where can I fill in the gaps that are not being talked about here? And that's how I came up with my show. So I think that that's a good approach to use, to sit back and watch and see where there is a dearth in information or gaps in information being offered. That's where you can fit in.
That's good. So content is just not great content because you creating content. It has to serve a purpose, just like with anything else. It has to serve a purpose and a function, right?
It needs to add value. Now, here's the thing. Value, it's a key word, but value could be different things. What we saw during the pandemic is we saw an awful lot of celebrities get on live. A lot of them went on Instagram Live doing, things. There were a lot of DJs on Instagram until, of course, they couldn't DJ the music there anymore. But there were a lot of people on Instagram that came on during the pandemic. And with some of the celebrities, I'm not trying to be funny, but beyond just talking with us, I personally did not see what value they were at. Now, it's cool to talk to your favorite celebrity. I love celebrity. I love talking with them.
Around on the couch sipping on cranberry juice.
Exactly. And that's cool. However, that also, to me, removes the specialness. I love being there with you and whatever and having the conversations. But it's like, okay, if I could, then now it's like talking to my friend all the time. It's no longer special. And then, one or two sessions like that is fine. After that, I need you to start adding value. What are you then doing? What am I coming away from your live with? And I'm not saying that's not on them. Maybe they're not teachers. Maybe they're not there to add anything beyond, I am a celebrity, I'm on this show, and that's fine. There's room in the space for it. But then don't be surprised when you don't garner the same numbers because you're not adding value beyond yourself.
That is good. So that is such a great segue. You're looking at my notes. So with your network, IndieSoupMedia.tv, how are you going to measure success? And I guess a parallel question is, how do us content creators what's a good way to measure success? And I put that in air quotes because, like you said about value, value is variable based on the audience, of course. So how do we measure success in content space?
Value is relative, definitely. Success is also relative.
Okay.
So I sometimes people measure success in the amount of views, in the amount of subscriptions, in the amount of numbers. Those are all measures. Those are metrics to look at as well, but that's not it. It's also, do you get your audience to speak back to you when you ask them a question in a video, right? Or on a show? Are they going in your back channel? One way I was able to measure the success, I'm on a gospel station. Yeah, go figure. My show is on a gospel station in the Bahamas. It is on Gospel 107.1. So it's been 2 years now. No, almost 3 that I've been on Gospel 107. So one way to, I don't really get metrics from them, but I know this. If I put a question out there and I specifically say, all right, for you, my folks in the Caribbean, I know this is really US centric, but what's going on with the movies in Jamaica? And they will back channel me or, go into my DMs and let me know what's happening. That's success because that means people are listening and people feel involved like I'm talking to them. Right. So success, like we're saying, is relative, but and it could be, and metrics are part of that. So, for example, if you notice, and the number itself doesn't matter because you're not competing against somebody else, you're competing against yourself. So if you do, for example, say a YouTube live, and when you first start, you get maybe 10 people who ever watch, right? That's fine. I think that's great because those 10 people are always dedicated to you.
That's true.
But then you slowly start to notice that, maybe you had a guest on and that guest told people and you inherited some people from that guest. Maybe you keep doing those types of things and before you know it, you're up to 50 people watching your live at any one time. Well, that's growth. So 50 people on a YouTube channel may not be big for some people, but for you, it is. To me, that's successful.
Good. That is good. And so we'll follow up with this question. What's your vision for IndieSoup Media.tv, and when will you know that you have pretty much arrived at that point?
So if we're talking about vision in terms of 5 years from now, I would like to. I envision, I'm not even going to go as far as 5 years. I'm going to go 2 years. In 2 years, I would love to have 100 creators. We're not far from there. We have 30. So we have 30 right now. That's not terribly far. And, we were able to do that without any advertising.
That's awesome.
Without any, paid ads on Facebook or anything. And that's something that we are going to do eventually. But in the interim, it was just asking people if they were interested in being on the platform. They answered the call and here they are. And so, and it keeps, going. And so I haven't even made public that you can actually, when the website will be built out, you'll be able to go and apply to be on the platform. But we haven't even done that yet, and we already have 30. So can you imagine when we do open it up?
Oh my, the floodgates. Oh man, the
floodgates. But that's what we want.
Yeah, in the words of Deion Sanders, we coming.
Exactly. If you weren't ready, get ready.
So real quickly, when is a launch date? When is a soft launch date? Number one, and what outlets can people view all of the creators that are on IndieSoupMedia.tv?
So right now we're looking at end of September for a very soft launch date. We are going to do something called Sneak Peek Week. And that's where I interviewed. No, I haven't interviewed you yet, have I?
No, you have not.
So I have to. So that's a conversation offline. But we are going to, I have some interviews with some of the creators, and we are actually talking about a little bit about them, but also what the audience can expect from their shows on IndieSoup. So that's going to be on all of our social channels. So the channel will run on Twitch, on YouTube Live, on YouTube, and on Facebook. So you'll be able to get all of that, the nice, yummy shows there. But the sneak peek week is going to take place specifically on those social channels as a sneak peek.
That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm so thankful. And it's funny how you and I reconnected. I think we were in a live together. And I'm like, that's Dr. Tachi. And I called and we started talking. And I said, Dr. Tachi, I asked you one question. I said, Dr. Tachi, what have you been up to? You were like, Dr. Sims, why didn't I ask you to be part of the network? And I'm like, what? All you got to do is ask me. That's all you got to do. All you got to do is ask me. I'm so excited. Let me ask you this to end our interview, and we definitely got to have you back for part 2. But
I'll be back.
What's a cardinal rule/sin that you are telling the interns and you telling new creators? What's the you should never do this, but you should always do this? What kind of wisdom can you give us content creators?
I don't think there are absolutes in anything in life, so it's very difficult to give an absolute. But if I have to do a soft absolute, like the soft launch, a soft absolute, I would say your content should always have the audience front of mind. Otherwise, you're speaking to yourself.
That's good.
So anything you make should be audience centered. You should take an audience centered approach. To whatever it is you do. Sure, it makes you feel good to be making videos or to do a live stream, but is it helpful to the audience? Think about them.
That is good. So that's a good rule of thumb. But what about, is there something we should never do? I guess it would be the opposite of that, right? It would be opposite of that, right?
Yeah, it should not be the me show. It should not be welcome to the me show, where it's all about me and me and me and then me and more me. So maybe even if it is your show, the audience needs to feel like they're there for a reason. Because if you're just there to admire yourself, it's problematic. But I would say also, in addition to that, things shift and change. So aside from that being the obvious thing, one of my things before was never to leave the frame. If you're live, if you leave the frame, you're leaving the audience to their own devices, and they can absolutely, and this is for a live stream now, and you can edit that out if you're, recording. But for a live stream, my thing is always stay in the frame.
Stay in the frame. That is so good.
This depends, though, on whether or not what you're doing. So if you're doing something like we're doing, an interview, or you're speaking to your audience on a topic, if there's something you need to show them, you need to make sure it's right there so you don't have to leave the frame. However, I also do live streams because I'm a reseller. So on a reselling app, I sell things live. Periodically, I have to leave the frame to go and get something that somebody said, hey, did you have a pair of pink shoes before? I do. Hold on. Let me go and get it. Because that means a sale. I'll leave the frame if you're going to buy it. No problem. So, sometimes you cannot be so staunch in your rules. That's one instance where it's okay to leave the frame.
That's good. That's very good. Well, how can people get in touch with you, Dr. Tachi, if they're interested in becoming a content creator on IndieSoupMedia.tv?
Wonderful. Email me at IndieSoupMedia@gmail.com. It's easy to use a Gmail.
Right. Well, thank you so much for stopping by for a few moments, and continued success, because when you blow up, all of us 30 content creators are gonna blow up, and it's awesome. And real quickly, when Periscope started, the networks began to get a little nervous because we have a network in the palm of our hand, and it's just so awesome to be able to have access to a platform like this, because those big eyes may never see you and I. But this
Exactly.
platform, the whole world can look at us, and I'm just excited. I'm just excited. Again, announce the soft launch again real quickly.
So we're looking at end of September, and that would be a sneak peek week, which would take place on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. Everything is IndieSoup Media. So if you look up IndieSoup Media,
Okay.
that you'll find all of our socials.
That sounds good. Well, thank you, Dr. Tachi. And I'll be looking for your call so you can interview me.
Yes, sir.
All right. See you soon, my friend.
If you would like to support the Dr. Sim Show, send your donations to Cash App $Walter H. Sims. And remember, we stay high on life. If you would like
Guys, do not forget on Monday evenings at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on IndieSoupMedia.tv, you'll be able to catch the Dr. Sam Show, where I'll be interviewing some of my good friends. We'll be talking about things that are happening that I have my opinions about. I call it my 2 cents. I have several segments lined up, and you just never know which segment is going to pop up. I have Shaking My Head. I have a word of the day. So my show is all about motivation, and I'm here to pump you up. So the segment we got about 3 minutes left in the show. But I want to talk about what you saw at the top of the show. Yeah, what you saw at the beginning of the show today, this young man is very frustrated and a little aggravated and in his feelings. For 7 years, from age 14 to age 21, he was chasing this young lady. She wouldn't give him the time of day because he was into anime, video games, and he did drink, didn't smoke, just went to work, came home, and got on his game and watched anime. But one evening, about 2 a.m, she calls him and asks, "Can I stay with you? My children and I are about to be thrown out on the streets, nowhere to go. Can I hang out with you? Can I stay with you for a little time so that I can get back on my feet?" And he was like, no. And they start fussing about it. So he just, at the end of the conversation, say, "Listen, no. You didn't want to be bothered with me, so right now I don't have anything for you." So he was kind of in his feelings a little bit. So he was being petty. He asked, was he being a butthole? And I said, no, you're not being a butthole, but you are being petty. He was flexing like, nana boo boo. You know how the kids talk, nana boo boo. You out on the street, you and your kids. Well, I'm sorry for you. And her story is a lot like a lot of young women. You have had children with men that are not concerned about your well-being, neither you nor the kids. And we have normalized 4 things in our society: relationships without commitment, baby mamas, baby daddies, and you can't tell me what to do. You know what I'm saying? And now this young man, a good man, I shared with him, I said a real flex would have been for you to simply say, if you had to pick me, you would not be homeless, neither you or our children. Okay? And so Kevin Samuels talked about what women really need is security. And secure men are sometimes considered real boring. Security is boring. But at the end of the day, security makes sure you got a roof over your head, food in that refrigerator, some form of transportation, you got clothes on your back, all your bills are paid, and you're not worried about where you and your babies are going to spend the night. But what I did say, in closing, I said what you could have easily done, said, listen, little mama, I can put you up in a hotel after where you are runs out. I could put you in a hotel for 3 days. It may not be the Renaissance, it'll be the Motel 6, but you got 72 hours to figure out something for you and your kids. All right. So, hey, I'm Dr. Sam, and that's my 2 cents. Listen, I would like to Let me jump back to my listen. I would love for you to join me next time where I have another guest and I have another segment where I'll be giving my 2 pennies about something. And I also challenge you, if you need some help to get to that next stage in your life, reach out to me. Reach out to me and I can help you figure it out. And as I always say, if you stay high on life, life is going to stay high on you.